Seems like a lot of people are calling for people to lose jobs these days.
Crazy.
But if you look around real quick, Steelers stick with Tomlin. Dallas Cowboys stick with Mike McCarthy. Saints sticking with Dennis Allen.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of teams
Jets.
sticking with their coach. Jets stick with Robert Saleh, even though Belichick, who's allegedly already going to Atlanta, second interview taking place now. First one maybe on a yacht.
Could have been.
With just Arthur Blank, one-on-one.
Per sources.
3.5, 4 hours. They're just talking about the team, where Bill is, where Blank is. Life probably. The type of wine you like. Yeah. Probably in there. Getting to know each other. Would this be able to work between ownership and coach? Now he's going down to meet the executive level, which I would assume would be Terry and anybody, the lead counsel probably, everybody they got going down there. But a lot of people are kind of saying that's already taken place. So Harbaugh would be the one that you would potentially look at your coach and say, is my coach better than Harbaugh? Vrabel would be a guy that you look at your coach go, is my coach better than Vrabel? Seemingly around the NFL, everybody's been like, yeah, we're going to stick with our guy no matter who's available at this particular juncture. The Mike McCarthy staying there, boy. This was announced yesterday. Dallas Cowboys fans were not happy.
So mad.
Not only Dallas Cowboys fans, there were sports pundits from all. We'll talk to Dan Orlovsky in about 7 minutes. Dan Orlovsky put out into the public as a person who speaks about the NFL on a daily basis, a man who's been in the NFL on a regular basis. They're not trying to win a Super Bowl.
Nope.
Okay, not serious about winning the Super Bowl. All talk. The Dallas Cowboys are all talk about winning the Super Bowl because they kept Mike McCarthy as their head coach, was Dan Orlovsky's first response. Now, I assume that was an emotional response in the moment because he had been expecting them to potentially move on from Mike McCarthy, and I believe he was probably saying it publicly. So now what he's been saying publicly is wrong in the actual happening, so he's probably in the middle of it. Sure. He wasn't the only one, though.
No.
Everybody was basically like, they're keeping this big fat stooge from Pittsburgh in here. They're not trying to win at all. This guy goes 12-5, 12-5,
Right.
12-5.
Right.
To first year he was
6-10, I think.
And Tony, you kind of became the guy on the internet.
Definitely. Not kind of.
You kind of became the guy.
Face.
Everybody was saying, what are they doing? Get rid of this guy. And I think we would have been indifferent. I would have been indifferent with it all.
Absolutely.
Him staying, we got another Yinzer still as a head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Good luck down there. It's the Dallas Cowboys, so always going to be talked about. Him getting fired, okay, I assume Big Mike will find another job if he wants one or do this whole thing. I'm excited to see who they hire. This will be a good conversation for our show. So I was very indifferent. You, though, last night on the internet, you're like, you know what? It needs to be said. You started going to bat for Big Mike and for coaches sticking around, and I think you should be pretty proud of yourself,
Absolutely.
Tony. I think you should be pretty proud of
Great
yourself.
show,
last
Tony.
night.
Well,
Look at it.
Great
Coaches,
show.
Hell yeah.
Coaches have to love this.
Thank you,
I was probably asleep, but
I had your back too.
that's
Chuck.
awesome.
It was
bro.
past 6 o'clock.
Well, no, obviously I'm from Pittsburgh, and we just don't fire coaches there. Like Chuck said, 3 since '70 when Noel took over. And I don't know if I would have been indifferent to the Cowboys' decision, but I don't think I really cared too much last night until you put out your "Attababy Big Mike" tweet, and I put a "Happy for Big Mike" tweet, and then I saw all the pundits it was egregious that they're not trying to win a Super Bowl. Or a lot of people were giving out the definition of insanity.
Which we have looked up before.
Yep.
It's actually
know that.
ineptitude.
That is
Right.
the repeated thing.
Doing the same thing, expecting a different
And
result.
and especially for the Cowboys fans, I got people. Listen, you come to Dallas to coach for championships. Well, they haven't had a championship in 30 years, so maybe their expectations should be a little different. But 12-5 the last 3 seasons, and I was just like that. I mean, Big Mike has the same record basically as Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. Now, you're not hearing a lot of currently right now about any of those guys that, like when Mike Tomlin was coming back and kept, there wasn't, outside of Pittsburgh, okay? Outside of Pittsburgh, the national media wasn't attacking saying Mike Tomlin, that the Steelers organization doesn't want to win a Super Bowl. No one's attacking right now after the Broncos season and what happened with Russ, that Sean Payton needs to go out. No one's saying Harbaugh right now needs to go. They're the 1 seed in the playoffs. Like, so it came, and like, I went back and I looked a little bit. Andy Reid, over his first 4 seasons with the Chiefs, after being successful at another organization with the Eagles, just like Big Mike was successful at the Packers, Andy Reid basically had the exact same record situation as Big Mike does in his first or in his last 3. He was 11-5, I think 11-5, and a 12-4, 1-3 in playoffs. And then, okay, Andy Reid gets Patrick Mahomes. Like, there's quarterback's got a
need a
little bit to
quarterback
do.
in this
Quarterback's
league?
got a little bit to deal with it. But hey,
Hold on, you're saying Dak Prescott's not a good quarterback, then?
well, I'm not a lot of Cowboys. So Cowboys fans are playing at both sides. They're saying Dak Prescott's a terrible quarterback, but Big Mike needs to win with Dak Prescott as well. But I'm saying is the Chiefs stuck with Andy Reid. Okay, and look what's going on there. There was of the teams that are currently in the divisional. Okay, Andy Reid's been on the hot seat, and I found articles for all these.
Oh, yeah.
Harbaugh was on the
That's another tweet, I think.
Harbaugh was on the hot seat last year. Okay, MCDC's been on the hot seat. Shanahan's been on the hot seat because he can't win the big one. Now he's not in the divisional right now. Zach Taylor was on the hot seat because he had 2 horrible first seasons, but then you get Joe Burrow, a quarterback, and things turn around. Now it's just like maybe. But the Cowboys have a way more talented roster than all these other teams. Okay, people say the Chargers have a talented roster.
They fired their coach, though.
They had True.
By the way, PFF folks, they were all saying, "Hey, you need to talk to Bobby Slowick." You know, guys, PFF guy. Wasn't Staley your guys' guy?
Who's great?
Yeah.
Wasn't Brandon Staley the?
But that's what I'm saying. You could have.
Not getting into it today.
Yeah, easy, Chuck.
Would you rather have Big Mike
sorry.
going 12-5 every season, or with a talented roster, or would you rather have Staley with a talented roster and not making the playoffs and stuff like that, and having to get fired? And I'm just some slappy, who doesn't know shit. I know that. I get that. But you know who has a similar mindset to me? Saints GM Mickey Loomis, who has been there for over 20 years and has a Super Bowl, and this is what he had to say yesterday about Dennis Allen.
Bill Belichick. Here's his first 3 seasons: 6-10, 7-9, 7-9. Tom Landry, 0-11,
Can't do that, gum.
4-9, 5-8, 4-10, 5-8.
Are you
Hall of
kidding
Fame
me?
coaches, all of them. Bill Walsh, first year, 2-14, second year, 6-10. So
I'm
I
not gonna
think
be able to hear the stat,
easy
Tom.
thing to do is just look at the results and say, "Oh no, we've got to have a change." You got to look beyond that. You know, what are the reasons why we were 9-8 instead of 13-4? And look, it's collective. It's the players. It's the coaches. It's me. It's our personnel staff, our roster. It's variables sometimes that we don't have any control of. And so my assessment is Dennis Allen is a good coach. And again,
God, is this guy serious?
with Sean Payton, we went 10-6 the first year, but then we were 7-9, 8-8. I heard some of the same noise. But at the time, I knew we had a good football coach. And so I think sometimes the hard thing to do is to be patient and recognize your other shortcomings and get those fixed. And that's what we're doing.
Well, there's a shortcoming you got, pal, and it's chewing gum directly into
Yeah.
a damn microphone. Okay, I almost just exploded there, and it's hard to listen to that. But what he's saying, you go back to some of the greatest coaches of all time. Obviously, the first couple years might be a little bit difficult. They might be trying to find their way, might be trying to build their culture. Seemingly, Mike McCarthy, 4 years in, 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, has a culture. A lot of his teammates, or a lot of his members of his team have come out. Jake Ferguson put out a tweet basically about Big Mike in it. Many men wish death upon me, dog. I don't cry no more. Now, he was talking about how people wanted Mike McCarthy out of there, and he stuck up for him. Obviously, we all know number 87 has been a stallion for the Dallas Cowboys.